LearnWithGinny.com. Hi, we're live on Facebook, and hopefully I have a better connection. I still see that it's weak, but that's normal for me anyway, where I live. So on Facebook, make sure you chime in and tell me that you can hear me. I am Ginny with LearnWithGinny.com, and I am an uber busy mom helping other uber busy home business moms get their businesses online for more sales and more prospects and leads. So today I'm going to share some of my notes from a professional presenter. And I did Google, I Googled some speaking tips too, to supplement my notes a little bit. And I have a couple of them that actually are opposites. So that's interesting. It's always interesting when you listen to gurus or people you think are gurus, right? And you find that there's opposite opinions out there on the right way to do things. So the biggest tip that I can give you from all the stuff that I share with you and learn is use what works for you, because you're a different individual. Everybody's unique and everybody has unique talents and strengths. So use what works for you. Okay, so I think I called it 8 presentation tips, but I think I only have 7 in here. So I'm just going to read them off and talk about them and tell you a little bit about what he said in his speech. I'm sorry I don't remember his name right off the tip of my tongue, but I'll put it in my blog post after I look it up. Anyway, so when you use these presentations, now your goal, as if you're in network marketing or an MLM, is to get people to look at your presentation, right? And if you make it your own presentation instead of your company's presentation, it'll be a lot more effective because it'll be you. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Okay? So I'm going to encourage you to create your own presentations. And for your kids, because, I always like to tie it in with a lesson for the kids, because everything I learn affects them too. And a lot, I don't know about your kids, but my kids have to present a lot. They do. They have projects that they have to present. So they can use some of these tips themselves, especially the speaking ones, so you can teach them to your kids too. And the biggest tip for teaching the kids is practice, because the more they do it, the more comfortable they'll get. You're never comfortable speaking in front of people, but at least you'll know some of the tips, like taking a deep breath before you keep going. That's an extra tip. That's not even on here. So I'm going to keep going and read you some of the tips. So small commitments lead to big commitments. The more you get your audience to say yes, the more likely they'll say yes at the end. So in his presentation, what he did is he got the audience to stand up, and he got them to turn to the person to their right, and he said, "Who wants to get more money in their pocket right now?" And everybody's like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, turn to the person on your right, reach into their pocket and grab their wallet and put it in yours." And everybody laughed, but he got them moving and he got them doing something. So that's tip number 2, is get control of your audience. And on a presentation, it's a little bit different, but you can still use these physical commands. Tell the audience, tell the people that are listening to your presentation or webinar to get up and move and do something. Do this right now. I remember a Susie Orman presentation where she had you take a dollar bill out of your wallet and rip it in half. A lot of people couldn't do it in the live audience. They were like, "I'm not ripping my dollar," but it was a very powerful, it made a powerful impact, and it was definitely a great start to her speech, because she got control of her audience. So, and what I mean by that is if your mind controls your body, but your body controls your mind too. So, by controlling the physiology of his audience, he was getting control of his audience. Tip number 3, bring them into your conversation. And the best way to do this is to tap into emotions. So in my blog post, I'll be sure to put a link to the tips that I got from Ben Settle about tapping into some powerful emotions, because buying is emotional. People make buying decisions using their emotions. So if you can tap into those emotions using stories, tell stories, and if you don't have a story for your product, then use somebody else's story with their permission. I'm sure there's testimonials you can use. So, for example, I'll tell you one. In the weight loss niche, I just read a story and I was going to, kind of tap into it for one of my ads, actually, not a presentation. But she basically told the story of how humiliating it was. She had to walk all these stairs to get up to her office. And when she got up the stairs, she'd be so out of breath, and it was embarrassing. So she would have to take 5 minutes at the top of the stairs to catch her breath before she went into the building, because she didn't want her coworkers to see how out of breath she was. And she also told a story about trying on wedding dresses and how the boutique that she always wanted to buy a dress from didn't have one big enough for her. It's very emotional and very sad. But the good news is that she lost all the weight, and this is how she did it. Blah, blah, blah. So there's a story. Tell a story in your presentation to tap into your audience's emotions. Next tip is raise your energy level. Now, I'm sitting right now, but I got a new stand for my devices, so I'll be able to stand tomorrow. Think about it. If you're on a presentation, even behind a computer screen on a webinar, and if you're walking with your headset on and talking and moving your hands around, where do you think your vibrational energy level is? It's definitely up, right? If you're standing up. So use that tip. The next tip, now this one I actually found just the opposite too on a speaking forum, and both of them make sense. Talk fast is what this guy said, because he said when you go to a salesperson, they car salesman, he was using as an example, a used car salesman, they talk fast, and the faster you talk, the more you sell. But on the speaking forum I saw, and on a couple of them actually, they said to speak really slow to make more impact. Now, of course, they were talking about delivering speeches. So, and when you're teaching your kids, I would encourage them to talk slow, because I know when my son was practicing he was talking way too fast, so fast that you couldn't understand what he was saying. So, and it's nerves, it's nerves. So it's impossible to talk too slow, I think, when you're presenting a speech. But use the energy, definitely. And I don't know about the talking too fast thing. I'm not a professional speaker, obviously, but that's the tip. Okay, so sell without resistance. Now, what he means by that is, he says, what you do in your presentation is put all the rejections in there, all the possible objections people have to buying. They don't have enough money, they don't have enough time, they're afraid, whatever it is. Make sure you address those in your speech, in your presentation. And what what he also says, about selling without resistance is to put it in their mind by saying something like, consider why you want this. They'll start thinking about it and they'll start picturing themselves using the product or whatever it is. And yeah, that definitely is for me, right? And finally, I think this is the last tip. Yep. Never slam your competition. Yes, there's competition, but everybody's different and unique. And you have something unique to give to your audience that your competition doesn't. So when somebody says, well, what about so and so? They do offer a coaching package and they do this and this. And it's like, wow, you just say, acknowledge it and say, that's great. You should buy it. But here's what I have to offer. And this is what I can do for you. A little bit different, right? Because you're you and you're not them. I hope you got something out of these tips. I know I did. I'm not a professional speaker and I'm not a professional presenter, but these are definitely tips that will help in my presentations and I hope they help in yours. So make sure you comment and share if you need to, or if you want to, if you have team members that are trying to present and maybe some of these tips will help them. Otherwise, make it a great day and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Oh, and make sure you go to the blog post so you can see the tips and get your free training at LearnWithGinny.com. Thanks.